Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another LoLcast by ThorW. And once again, we are casting some Challenger tier solo queue games going on between two teams. Of course, you will not be able to see any of the names, as I will censor all of them out, because otherwise that might be e-stalking and e-bullying. Anyway, moving right into our first level 1 rotations, we've got a defensive ward coming out from this Blitzcrank right now. Doesn't look like the red team's looking to do an invade with their Blitzcrank hook advantage, but they are all grouped up together, so it is a little bit possible. Right now we've got Callista sending out this sentry, going up and scouting around this area, along with a defensive ward in this Tri-Brush, going to make it very difficult for the red team to make any sort of early play trying to get into the enemy jungle without being spotted. So looks like a pretty standard start. Everyone's just going to be heading to their lanes, and it doesn't look like any shenanigans are going to go on from either side. So let's go over the team compositions. It looks like we've got a Cho'Gath top for the blue side, a Morgana in the mid lane, a J4 jungle with a bot lane duo of Callista and Thresh facing off against a Lissandra top lane for Team Red, a Twisted Fate for the middle lane, a Lee Sin in the jungle, and the bottom lane duo of Caitlyn and Blitzcrank coming out. So between the two teams, I'd say the red team has a little bit of a better late game overall. They've got the more consistent double AP compared to their opposing team. For example, Morgana and Cho'Gath are very, very dependent on hitting at least one of their skill shots. It's either the knock-up from the Cho'Gath or the binding from Morgana. And if that doesn't hit, they lose a lot of their ability to actually take on the enemy team and mess with them. So a little bit more consistency coming out from the red team overall, because the gold card and the targetable Lissandra lockdown is just a lot easier to get off. So right now, early levels, we've got pretty good trades coming out from this blue duo down onto their red counterpart. They seem to be taking a decent chunk out of that Caitlyn early on. She's got to be a little bit more careful with her positioning. As blue hits level 2 first, Caitlyn forced to flash away so that she doesn't get hit by that flay. The ignite comes out of the Thresh, and a good summoner steal. Really early advantage up for this blue team after that. So, well done by them. Thresh just walking right up. He knew when he was about to hit level 2, took advantage of having that early level 2, and hits a hook onto this Blitzcrank, who's walking up really hard, gets the flay off, the damage from the W comes out from the Callista, the Rend is getting stacked up, the hook comes out along with the ignite, and the tower shot finishes off this Thresh even though he tries to flash away. Wonderful play by this Blitzcrank. Stayed very calm under pressure, did not... he did not back down, he pulled that hook in and got that first blood onto the Thresh for his carry. Well done, well played. That was a little bit surprising. I thought that was a clear advantage for the blue side, but apparently I was wrong. Meanwhile, in the top, it looks like Cho'Gath had to flash out of a gank coming out of this Lee Sin. That is one of the downsides of this Cho'Gath pick, is he has no natural escape for himself, so he's very susceptible to ganks. He pushes up pretty naturally with his, if he levels up those spiked passive, and it looks like he does have a level in those Vorpal spikes, so he's going to be pushing the lane pretty naturally. Lissandra, on the other hand, can just let it come to her, get these Lee Sin ganks in, and take an advantage. Back down in bottom lane, Thresh returns to his lane, probably a little bit salty about that first death. I mean, that was just a little bit unfortunate for him, getting hooked into that tower range, taking that tower shot, just enough to kill him, just enough. He does pick up some boots on his way back, so that's probably going to help him get a couple of hooks off, better positioning, walk up and get some flay. Looks like we got a gank coming out at mid, J4 going in hard, Twisted Fate running as fast as he can, the Ghost comes out, and J4 will live with just barely any health after helping clean up that Twisted Fate. Will Lee Sin be able to hit this Q? He does not get it. J4 is able to just flag and drag his way out. Lee Sin gets hit by that binding, not able to chase any further. Pretty good dive coming out from this blue squad. A little bit shaky, a little bit rocky, but they were able to complete it, pull it off, and Morgana's going to get pushed out by this Lee Sin, but no kill is going to go down unless she walks back up and takes another Q. And she was low on mana anyway, she's probably going to recall. Nice play by the blue team over there, getting a very nice dive down onto this Twisted Fate, and burning both of his summoners. That's very important. So he is very susceptible to any more ganks from this J4 if he wants to make his presence known in that mid lane again. Looks like we got a lot of bullying coming down on the bottom side. After that first blood, Caitlyn has really just been having a field day onto this lane. Kalista is currently down by about 12 CS. A little bit of a push coming in. She'll be able to even it up a tiny bit, but Caitlyn is in the clear advantage here. And a kill comes down up at top lane. Once again, Cho'Gath had that flash burned. Lee Sin takes advantage of that. Even though there's a ward down, Lee Sin's just able to jump right in. Cho'Gath gets locked down, and that is going to be an easy kill. J4 coming up to clean up that lane a little bit. Mid lane, we've got Morgana pushing very consistently. That pull really useful for just continuous pressure onto the enemy tower. And Twisted Fate has pretty good wave clear, but not until he's got a couple of items set up for himself, and sitting on nothing more than a Fiendish Codex and a Doran's Ring is not quite enough damage to instantly murder these waves. Looks like we've got recalls coming out from both sides. Kalista opts for that Vampiric Scepter and the dagger. It looks like she's going to be building up towards that Blade of the Ruined King, more than likely. Caitlyn opting for the BF Sword, probably going to be building into that Infinity Edge, and go for that very early power spike that you get off of just the raw damage from it. Hook comes out from Blitz, not quite going to connect. Thresh able to get out of the way. And looks like we've got a Soul Links coming down from Twisted Fate. He tries to pop his ultimate to get out, but the stun comes down, and he is going to fall. That is very unfortunate for him. Both summoners down. Morgana able to just walk up, throw down that Soul Shackle, and get the stuns down. Well played by her, recognizing that Twisted Fate cannot get away from her. She does have the early boots, and Twisted Fate does not, so she's able to keep up with him very easily, catch up to him. And minor gold lead coming out for the red team, despite these kills coming out. That kill coming out onto the mid lane yet again. Red team seems to be overall winning their lanes, and we've got a bit of an engagement coming on. Lee Sin gets caught up by the binding, trying to do as much damage to Cho'Gath as he can. He's able to pick him off. J4 comes around from the side. Lissandra has to get out of here, but the ultimate comes down, the Cataclysm. The Claw comes out. She's able to hop over that wall, and it looks like Lissandra's going to be able to get out of this, but she's still in a lot of pressure. She needs to be able to dodge this J4's flag and drag. Morgana tanking the tower. The binding hits, and that is going to be a dead Lissandra. Well played by the blue team. Very clean dive, and that's going to even up the score. Twisted Fate starting to head towards bottom, but he does not have his ultimate up. He burned that over at mid lane, trying to get away from the Morgana, and it looks like no pressure is going to come out from there. Twisted Fate going to get a bit of a push down onto this tower while Morgana recalls, and everyone's going to go pick up some items for themselves. Morgana finishes up a Morellonomicon, so she has got a pretty strong early power spike. And she's a little below on CS, but the 301 easily makes up for that. She's going to start looking stronger and stronger as this game goes on. These minion waves are going to be cleared very quickly by her defiled ground. Tormented Soil, that's the name of it. You know, sometimes you're like, man, it must be this name. She's the Defiler, right? Nope. Tormented Soil. So coming back down to it, we've got no sustain up for this Caitlyn, so any sort of poke damage that the Kalista and Thresh can try and get down will stick to her. Meanwhile, Kalista does have this Vampiric Scepter, so they should be looking to try and get to poke trades a little bit more. A bit of a dive coming in down this top lane. Lee Sin gets the kickoff from the Cho'Gath. A lot of damage comes down to him, but he is not finished off. No ultimate available for Lissandra for the next couple of seconds, but Cho'Gath is sticking around. This is very dangerous for him. Here comes J4. The flag and drag comes out. Lissandra taking a lot of damage, gets silenced. Is she going to get Cataclysm to death? No, she just gets Dragon Strike. He is going to die. The flash comes from Lee Sin. He dodges the binding. He's going to be able to walk away from this Morgana roam. And that is a failed dive from the red team. They went a little bit too early. Lissandra's ultimate was not up for just a couple of seconds. And it looks like J4 is coming up here to apply a little bit more pressure to this Lee Sin under his own tower. Will Cho'Gath stay? It looks like he will. If this Flag and Drag hits, that is a dead Lee Sin. It does not. There's the Cataclysm. Lee Sin's able to hop out of it. Cho'Gath flashes forward, gets the silence off. He's able to finish off that Lee Sin. But he is in no man's land, and Lissandra is here. She does have her ultimate. That's going to lock her up. Destiny comes out from Twisted Fate, and that is going to be a dead Cho'Gath. A little bit of over-aggression coming out from this blue side over there. Not quite sure that the Cho'Gath flash was worth the kill on the Lee Sin with the trade of himself. So they seem a little bit over-hungry for kills. Meanwhile, bottom lane continues this pressure. Kalista's able to even up that CS score though, so very well done by her. Neither side has gone back for quite some time. They've just been farming out, so both sides sitting on quite a decent chunk of gold. 15 to 1600 on both sides right now. And here comes J4. There's the flash play from the Thresh, and Caitlyn gets hooked up. She is going to go down, no problem whatsoever. And it looks like a good dragon setup for the blue side with Caitlyn dead. Very well played by that Thresh. He threw the Lantern out, pulled the J4 in, and it was pretty done the second that he was able to hit that hook onto the Caitlyn. And it seems like the red team's not going to contest this dragon. Blitzcrank is currently recalling. Lee Sin's walking away. Not going to get bound up. That dragon's going to go down no problem. And first dragon advantage goes over to the blue squad. Currently a 5k gold advantage, or 500 gold advantage. Wow, if it was a 5k gold advantage at 12 minutes, that would be impressive. Especially with the kill score the way it is. I think blue would have to miss every single creep for that to happen. Oh, that'd be pretty interesting. A little bit of pressure coming down onto this Cho'Gath once more at this top lane. Meanwhile, the mid lane does go down. Lee Sin once again coming in to harass this Cho'Gath. The claw comes in from Lissandra. Is she able to get in range for that frozen tomb? Yes! The kick comes out from Lee Sin into the wall. This Cho'Gath is going to die. The ult even comes out from Blitzcrank to secure that kill. As a pretty aggressive play from this red side, but no punishment coming out from the blue squad. Many of them had just recalled right after doing the dragon. Looks like J4 is going to hit the flag and drag. Thresh hits the hook. The binding comes out as well. The Cataclysm comes onto this Blitzcrank. Lee Sin's going to die. Blitz is able to flash his way out of it. Oh, it looks like Kalista switched over her build. She's going for the Berserker's Greaves into the Bloodthirster. The Destiny comes out from Twisted Fate. There's the gold card, the ultimate from Caitlyn. And that is going to be a locked up and killed Kalista. Well played by this red side. Very good Destiny coming out from the Twisted Fate. That is exactly what this team needs him to do right now. While blue squad is sending 3-4 people up to top lane to try and get a pick off onto them, and Kalista sitting alone, that is a very easy pick off. Well played by the Twisted Fate to recognize the positioning of the enemy squad and to go ahead and just take advantage of that and pick off their carry. Morgana gonna steal some creeps over here. A nice little cheeky play there. But looks like no, Twisted Fate does not take that. Morgana takes the Raptors. Pink Ward taken down by the Blitzcrank. Pink Ward hype. And everything calms down just a little bit all over the place. A very minor gold lead coming out from the blue team. Binding does not hit from the Morgana, but she commits the Soul Shackles to this Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank's going to get stunned up onto that Tormented Soil. He's going to dip and dive and dodge, but it is not good enough. The Binding stops him, and that is another kill for Morgana. She's sitting 5-0-1. Lissandra is able to take out this top tower in the meantime, but Cho'Gath is over here pressuring the mid lane. Blue card comes out. Just a little bit of mana restored for that Twisted Fate. He locks in that gold card, hits the Cho'Gath, but no follow-up to come. The J4 and the Morgana a little bit too scary to follow up on. Kalista getting a push down on the bottom, while Lissandra pressures that tier 2 at top. Looks like this tier 1 at bottom should go down to this Kalista. She should have enough minions to tank it up. It's going to be a little bit more of a gold swing coming towards that blue side, going to take away the evenness, and we've got a dive coming in, a flag and drag over the wall onto that Twisted Fate, into the Binding. Teleport comes in from the Lissandra. Here comes the fight. The The Lee Sin gets knocked down. The ult comes from Caitlyn. It's not going to hit. Lissandra does not get the teleport off. It is stopped by Cho'Gath apparently, but she's going to punish him and going to get a kill down onto him for stopping her. J4 is able to walk out of this. Morgana's going to go right back to farming. And it's essentially a 2-for-1 across the map in favor of the blue side. Cho'Gath does stop Lissandra from teleporting, and that's probably worth his death. Unfortunately, they're going to lose that tier 2 down at top lane as well. So that's a relatively large loss. A tier 2 at this time in the game is worth quite a bit of pressure onto this side of the map. This means that if there are any invades onto this jungle by the red team, the blue team won't have any towers to fall back to until they get back to their base. That's a pretty long distance to run to. Taking a look at some of the items, we've got a Rod of Ages coming up on this Cho'Gath. That's going to take a little while to stack up. His power trough is pretty hard right now. He's only level 9, only just finished this Rod of Ages, and has a null magic mantle on top of it. He is not very tanky. He doesn't have very many stacks on his feast. He doesn't have very much AP. He is extremely weak right now. The red team should recognize this and try and pick on him a little bit more. Take advantage of how weak he is. Dragon coming up in another minute. Cho'Gath does not have a teleport. Meanwhile, Lissandra's is currently on cooldown, so they can't make use of that teleport advantage for a split push. Coming out from Morgana, she finishes up an Abyssal Scepter, grabs a Cloth Armor, more than likely going to work on that Zhonya's, as that is a very, very good item for Morgana. Allows her to get that ultimate off. The Destiny coming out from Twisted Fate. Thresh is busy in no man's land, and he's going to get saved by the Fate's Calling. What a good use of that ability. Spell immunity onto Callista, so that hook does not pull her in. Binding hits onto Lissandra. She's going to take a ton of damage. The Cataclysm comes up. She flashes out of there. Gold card comes down to J4, and everyone's trying to run away. The Binding does not hit for the second time. Flash hook does not connect. A very, very aggressive 2 flash forwards by this blue team. They are down 2 flashes for that, and they did not get anything out of it. So this dragon coming up in 20 seconds should be a little bit in favor of the red team. They have a couple more flashes available for themselves. Nobody died in that engagement on either side. Cho'Gath got a pretty good push off onto the top lane, but does not finish the tower. A lot of pressure coming down onto mid from the red team. That means that the blue team is going to either have to let this crash into the tower if they want to contest the dragon, or come and defend it. And it looks like they're not quite going to be there in time. Easy pickup of that tier 1 tower for the red team. They're going to clear out pink ward over here. They do have some pretty good ward advantage. There are almost no wards from the blue team over here. This is no man's land. This is dark territory for the blue team. Free dragon for the red team. Very fast, very quickly done, and a very quick departure by the team as well. Looks like Lee Sin's just going to hop over that wall. Does not want to get hit by the Binding. Couple deep wards coming out from the Thresh. He's able to see this Caitlyn. Hits the hook, but no follow-up going to be coming from that. And it looks like blue wants to pressure into this middle lane. They've got all 5 members coming over here, and red's got a few people recalling. This tower is going to take a lot of damage. Destiny comes out. Will Twisted Fate poured into it. Ports in under the tower. Blitzcrank gets hooked up. He's going to get flag and drag. The knock-up is going to hold him in place long enough to kill him. And a lot of pressure coming out from this blue team. Their win condition for most of these fights is to either hit the Binding or hit a knock-up on the Cho'Gath, or hit a hook from the Thresh. One of these 3 skill shots has to hit for them to be able to engage onto the enemy. And there is a hook from the Thresh. The flag and drag comes up. It does not hit. Twisted Fate is able to get the flash out. The Fate's Call saves Thresh. A lot of damage coming out from this Callista onto the opponents. But Caitlyn is still alive. Caitlyn is sitting pretty with full health. Twisted Fate running in. He gets the gold card off. Triple kill comes out for Caitlyn. Is she able to finish off this Cho'Gath? And it looks like the ult comes up. That is a quadra kill in favor of the Caitlyn. Ace comes out for the red team. A little bit of over-aggression coming out from the blue team. They were not able to get that knock-up onto the Twisted Fate before he was able to flash out of the way. And they took a lot of free damage because of it. Blitzcrank going to tank up a few tower shots, and this tier 2 tower is going to fall. Meanwhile, the tier 1 at top lane does go down in favor of the blue team. Minions getting the push down onto that. After that crazy fight, Caitlyn is currently sitting on an extra 2,800 gold nearly. So she is going to be looking to buy something big. She's got this dagger, more than likely going to build into a Phantom Dancer or a Static Shiv. My guess would be Phantom Dancer, and there it is, completed. And we've got Callista heading towards that Runan's Hurricane. She's getting pretty close. And, oh my, this isn't very early Baron sneak. They have complete vision control over for the blue team. The red team has no clue that this is going on right now. Lissandra is currently bottom. Lee Sin comes over to check. He throws the ward down. He's like, oh, well then. Is he going to be able to stop this? Will Lee Sin be able to smite this out from them? Destiny comes out from Twisted Fate. Is he going to pour it in? Lee Sin comes in. Blue team is able to finish off the Baron Nashor, but they take a ton of damage from this. They are in a little bit of trouble, but it looks like there's not going to be any sort of follow-up onto them. I don't think red team's going to be able to catch them. And blue team gets away with murder. They pick off that Baron for free. Good advantage coming over to them. A 2k disadvantage for the blue team. So red team's a little bit ahead in the gold wars right now. And that's being shown by the item advantage, especially on this Caitlyn. She is sitting on about 6k gold worth of items compared to the Callista, and who's about 5k, so slight advantage coming out from her. Look at that. Look at that, 9,000 gold versus the 7.6 thousand. I was a little off on my math there. But definitely advantage coming out between these ADCs in favor of the Caitlyn. Looks like Lissandra's being caught out a little bit. Will the Flag and Drag hit? Yes, it will. Lissandra's going to get locked down and blasted, dunked by J4, the prince of all dunkers. And she gets picked off. And that is exactly what this blue team is looking to do. They're looking to find someone out of position, hit them with the hook, the Flag and Drag, the binding, one of these skills to knock them silly, and then follow up and chain that CC. So, poor positioning by the Lissandra overall. There were no wards to see any sort of rotation coming her way. She was basically left out there. Ultimate from Caitlyn does a pretty insignificant amount of damage to the Morgana. She is a little bit tanky right now overall. Hook comes in onto this Blitzcrank, up flashed by the Thresh to get the flay off onto the opponent's. Fate's Call comes in and the knock-up onto this Twisted Fate. He's going to get blasted down. The Soul Chains come out from Morgana, but she's not able to get the stun off. And the freeze comes out onto the Callista. She is a little bit too far in. She was a little bit hungry for that Caitlyn kill, and Lissandra showed up at the perfect time. Meanwhile, during all of this, Lee Sin is finishing off this tier 3 tower. Never mind. Here comes Cho'Gath to finish him off. The ultimate comes down. Chomped. Lee Sin is going to die, taking that extra tower pressure, but he gets a lot of damage into this tier 3 tower. J4 coming over. Looks like he might want to fight with this Lissandra, but I'm not sure if that's too wise. J4 does not have that much magic armor overall. He's only sitting at 113. And Lissandra's sitting pretty strong right now, with the Abyssal Scepter, the Morellonomicon, and this needlessly large rod. Looks like she's going to be building that off into a Zhonya's. Very strong on Lissandra. Once you've got your Zhonya's ready, you can dive in, you can Frozen Tomb yourself, you can follow it up with Zhonya's, and that is a long time where you are invulnerable to damage. Dragon coming up in about 10 seconds, warding starting to come down around the area by the red team. They've been far more on point for the Dragon positioning than their opponents have. They're also able to split push a little bit better because they've got that Destiny coming out from Twisted Fate and the teleport coming out from Lissandra. Looks like red team are going to start up this Dragon. Blue team not going to get there in time. Destiny comes out from Twisted Fate. He's doing a bit of backdooring. He's got the Lich Bane. He is trying to do some damage to this tower. It hurts quite a bit. He's not able to finish it off though, but the Dragon is going to be finished off by the red team. Blue team got distracted completely by this. They don't want to lose that tier 3. And that's a dead Twisted Fate. He accepts his fate. He just stops moving and says, alright, you caught me. I tried to get away with it, but I was not able to. And J4 is the man to punish him for his extremely aggressive play there to Destiny right under that tower. See, the tier 3 towers, they reduce your damage while you're being while they shoot their lasers at you, you lose damage. So it's just not very smart to try and backdoor them by yourself, especially as a Twisted Fate. Flash being burned by Caitlyn had to be burned, or else she would have been hooked up by that Thresh, comboed by the enemy team. Blue team is able to push down that tier 2 tower very easily, taking a slight advantage back in favor of themselves ever since they took that Baron. They're trying to set up a death bush. They get the Fates calling out, but the knock-up is not there. The Flay hits, though. Flash comes out for the Lissandra. Here comes the Lee Sin. He's trying to get the insect kick. He does not get it. Lissandra's going to get locked up and killed. She gets the Frozen Tomb onto the Morgana, who's going to barely survive everything. Caitlyn's still sitting in a very high health total. The Flag and Drag comes in. Cataclysm going to pick off this Twisted Fate. And Morgana still throwing bindings. A knock-up onto the Caitlyn. Ultimate comes out from Caitlyn, going to hit into the G4. 2 members very low on this blue team, but it does not look like they're going to be able to finish them off. And this is going to be a downed inhibitor at 26 minutes in favor of the blue team. Caitlyn walking forward, trying to get an angle onto these injured opponents on the blue team, but she's not quite able to get in. Far too many threats come out from the binding and the Cho'Gath knock-up, and just Kalista doing damage herself. In comes the teleport from the Lissandra, though. This is probably going to hurt. She's able to get the claw in. She does not get the stun down. The hook comes onto the Morgana in the meantime. They're going to let Cho'Gath go. Never mind. Caitlyn from the side is able to pick him off. Morgana is going to be taken down. Twisted Fate has sight on this Kalista. He's not going to be able to get in range of it, though. Decides to go mid and push this lane out. The inhibitor advantage goes over to the blue team, and they lose a couple members on the way back, but they do have that lane under their control now. And that is the lane that they wanted under their control more than anything, because this allows time for this tier 3 tower to start healing up and regenerating health, which is going to really put a damper on the red team's plans to try and push that down. Baron coming up in another 30 seconds. Looks like red team's going to have the Scuttle Crab advantage, going to get that Speed Shrine and that Vision out from it. Get a few wards around the area as well. If you take a look at this top side, red team does have the advantage in wards, most definitely. Blue team's going to have to come through and sweep around there if they want to try and pressure this Baron anymore, because red's going to see any angle that they try and move through. And there's going to be absolutely no way that they do not respond to a Baron attempt. Lee Sin, way out of position. What are you doing up here, buddy? Why are you by yourself up here? Nearly gets caught out, nearly gets killed. Doesn't look like any... Just an Ignite burned on the side of blue to get that flash out of Lee Sin. That's a very good trade in favor of the blue team. Looks like we got a couple of sweepers coming out. A little bit of vision control coming out from blue team. Ultimate from Caitlyn, going to do a little bit of a poke damage. And it looks like Lissandra is able to get out of dodge quickly enough. The Cataclysm burnt by J4 onto Lissandra. Not the best target in the world to try and use that Cataclysm on. But then again, if you look at the enemy team, there aren't a lot of great targets to try and use it on in the first place. Most of them have some way to get out of it. Alright, Baron started up by blue team. This is a little dangerous. Red knows everything that's going on. They're going to disengage from it there. Twisted Fate is not there to poke them out, but it is very dangerous to be tanking Baron with the enemy just sitting and looming around the corner. Hook comes from Blitz, a little bit wide, not able to connect with anyone. Twisted Fate, a flash play comes out from the Thresh. Lee Sin gets silenced, and he's going to get chomped by the Cho'Gath. That's a pick-off, that's a kill. He is a little too far forward for his own good. Fate's Call comes out, Flag and Drag comes out. Destiny will not be followed up by this Twisted Fate. That would be pretty damn suicidal. And that is a two-person pick-off. Really poor positioning coming out from the red team. Lee Sin just a little bit too far up, and then Lissandra standing over on this side instead of trying to go over with her team, not following her team there. And this should be a pretty free Baron for the blue team. It would take a miracle to stop this, and I don't think that red team has a miracle in their pockets right now. So this Baron is going to be taken by the blue team. Second Baron for them. Good advantage on their side. Dragon up in 45 seconds. Both teams should probably want to contest this. I mean, red's down a little bit, and they're down a Baron buff, but they're actually relatively even in the gold war. They're only down 2,000 gold, and that's not too bad. That's very close at 30 minutes in the game. Blue buff being taken by Twisted Fate here, so he's going to be allowed to poke out those enemies. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the Lichbane pickup on this Twisted Fate as soon as he did. Lichbane's very powerful in Twisted Fate and everything, but when you get it this early, before you have any AP under the gun to scale with it, because it scales off AP, when you don't have anything good AP to scale with it, it's just a little bit underwhelming, and it could be replaced with a much better item for about the same cost. So I'm not too fond of that pickup, especially since it was picked up so early by this Twisted Fate, and it hasn't really done them any favors so far. This is going to be a pretty free dragon for the blue team. Red team does not want to contest anything. Their inhibitor will be respawning relatively soon. Looks like just that last line of super minions. Yep, that is the last line of super minions. Once that's cleared up, that top inhibitor will be back. But the Baron buff on the side of this blue team means that they will be able to pressure down this inhibitor at top lane very quickly. They're going to get a little bit of pressure onto this mid lane at first, force some clear out from their opponents. And this is a good rotation, the entire team sticking together, getting a couple wards down on the way, making sure that the red team cannot flank them. And they're going to move up towards this inhibitor. Red team has to be very careful. They don't have any tower up here to try and push them back. This is a very open area. Caitlyn ultimate comes down, hits J4 for very minimal damage, and that's going to be an inhibitor taken down yet again by the blue team. J4 sitting there and laughing in the face of his opponents. A little bit BM there. Make sure you don't get caught. He does have the flag and drag, so I'm pretty sure he's not too worried about it. So, rotations from the blue team heading over towards this mid lane. Red team gets a push down off on that bottom lane. Caitlyn recalls. Looks like she's going to be building something out of that pickaxe. Probably going to be building a Last Whisper right now. Yep, she finishes up that Last Whisper. Going to be very helpful in dealing with this J4 and dealing with this Thresh, because those two are constantly sitting in everyone's face. Really good at getting into the enemy backline so far in this game. Oh, the hook comes out and hits Morgana. She's going to get knocked up and locked up. She is taken down very quickly. Zhonya's comes out from the Lissandra, keeping herself alive. Flag and Drag comes out. Lee Sin is able to get a chase down. Caitlyn able to finish off the Cho'Gath. Meanwhile, Twisted Fate chases down the Callista and takes her down. J4 running for his life, but Caitlyn's coming over. The Flag and Drag comes out. He stops to clear the creeps, and that is going to turn out to be a little bit of a mistake. A lot of damage from these minions coming onto Caitlyn. J4 flashes forward and finishes her off, gets the shutdown. Wow, that is unfortunate for the red team. These minions are brutal. Super minions do a lot of damage, and Caitlyn tanked a few too many hits from them, allowing J4 to get up in there. She was a little too hungry for that pickoff. So, red team does stop the push. It is a very bloody battle. Both sides face a lot of casualties from that, but they are able to stop the blue team from taking any more towers and getting any more pressure down. Oh my goodness, the J4 stuck around way too long, and he gets taken down by the teleport from the Lissandra. Wow, that is extremely aggressive by him. Little bit too aggressive by J4 there. Little bit over aggression. So we got a little bit of a lull in the action as everyone waits to respawn, grab a couple of items. Blue team waiting for J4 to get back up. Still an extremely close game. It is only a 700 gold difference. Both sides are very, very strong. Very even. The big advantage coming out just on the blue side with the inhibitor advantage, and that's about it. And we've got Lee Sin diving in onto this Morgana, able to get a lot of damage down, but not able to finish her off. That spell shield keeping her safe from the kick, and keeping her from being repositioned. So we've got a QSS coming out on both sides, a Bilgewater Cutlass getting onto this Callista, so she's very close to finishing up her build. Caitlyn still has this Vamp Scepter, more than likely going to turn that into a Bloodthirster. She needs... Which gold does she need? Let's find out. She needs another 1,800, I believe. Another 1,800 gold to finish that off, though, so she's a little bit far away from that. Doesn't look like any elixirs are coming down onto any of the players right now. I gotta say, Morgana is the only person with an elixir on herself right now. Right now, elixirs would be very useful because at this stage in the game, 35 minutes in, any mistake can kill you, and that is a mistake right there. The hook landing onto Callista and the follow-up coming through from the red team. A lot of damage getting turned onto the blue team by this Caitlyn. She's been free to auto-attack. She has not been locked down, and as the gold cards come down, Caitlyn is able to finish off another player on the J4, and Thresh is going to get locked up as well. That is 4 players down for the cost of 1 Lissandra. That is an extreme advantage in favor of this red team. They should be able to take an inhibitor no problem right now. They're just going to walk up and tank this up. They've got the Lich Bane, they've got Caitlyn damage, they've got Lee Sin over here to peel in case anything comes their way. And that's going to be a free mid inhibitor taken down from the red team. Very well fought by them. That was a tremendously good hook in favor of them because Callista got... I don't know why she was so far forward, but she was on the front lines. Actually, I know exactly why she was so far forward. She popped the Fate's Call and ran forward to throw Thresh into the enemy team. But as she ran forward, the hook came out from Blitzcrank and grabbed her and pulled her in. Then Thresh did come out. He did get a knockup, but by the time that Callista was able to move again, she was already nearly dead and ignited by the opponents, by the Blitzcrank. So she was able to be taken down so easily. Very poor positioning, very bad decision making. You can't really be on the front lines as much as she has been at this stage in the game. And Blue is committing to this Baron in the face of the red team. I don't know about this. This is pretty dangerous. Lee Sin coming in, Lissandra going in over the wall as well. Fate's Call comes out, saves Thresh. The Lissandra ultimate goes on to J4, not the best target, and Lissandra's going to be taken down by the 6th member of the team, Baron. And a lockup comes down onto this Cho'Gath. And Thresh goes in very aggressively, J4 goes in very aggressively, but they're both going to get taken out. Caitlyn is still sitting at half health. J4 goes in very hard onto this Morgana. Is he going to finish her off? Yes, he is. That's an ace coming out in favor of the red team. That's going to... Is that game? That's 2 super minion waves? That's game. That's 30 seconds. I don't think that anything's going to stop this push from coming through. Lee Sin pushing forward. Caitlyn and Blitzcrank are coming forward. Blue team really committed to that Baron. They took a lot of damage. About half of their players were sitting around half health by the time that red team engaged on them. And sure, they got the first kill onto Lissandra, but Lissandra put a lot of damage down onto the enemy team, and the follow-up from her teammates was astounding. GG, that is going to be in favor of the red team. One slip-up at the end there by the blue team, who seemed to be in control for so long, for so much of the duration of this game, and they kind of throw it away. Very close game on both sides. Very entertaining game. I want to thank anybody out there who listened to this cast and hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, everyone.